Hello, my name is John Austin. I'm chairman of the Image Committee at Richland Country Club. I thought it would be interesting to the membership to have a conversation with Lou Gramm. Now, most of you know about Lou Gramm, but if you don't, there's plenty of memorabilia in our cases in the front entry here about his win at Medina Country Club in Chicago in 1975. So I hope you enjoy the conversation with Lou.
And now we're here at Medina for the Diamond Anniversary, the 75th United States Open. And the question occurs, to what golfer will this diamond be a guy's best friend?
So tell us about the Open in 75.
I had won 2 tournaments at that time, before that.
Hazeltine and then 72. And then
Hazeltine in 72, and then I won the tournament over at Pinehurst. And so I had played in the Open a few times and had done decent in a couple of times.
You made a big charge on Saturday at Medina.
Yes, Saturday. Well, at the end of 36 holes, I was 11 shots out of the lead. Frank Beard was the leader.
After 3.
After
3 rounds.
3, Frank Beard was the leader. Tom Watson was leading at the end of 2 rounds.
Right.
I was paired with Tom the next day. Tom had been leading, and I was 11 shots back, and now I'm paired with him. Tom shot 60. I mean, he shot a 77 or something like that.
78 third round.
Whatever it was. And I had shot a 68 in the 3rd round.
And on the 6th hole, we get our first look at Lou Gramm. Lou Gramm, who had 68 yesterday to move into a contending position. Today is 1 under. He's at even par, 2 shots out of the lead. He's been on the tour a long time, has always been consistent.
And then went out in the last round. You know, I'm right there playing, and I went along and I was playing just decently, staying with pars and whatever, and the scores were going here and there. But it was kind of funny that in the 4th round, when I walked on the 13th tee, Nicklaus was on the 16th tee, which was a par 4 going that way, and this was never been on one. It was a double tee. The tee was built like this. I was going this way on the back of my tee. He was going that way on the back of his tee.
Right.
We were about 15 yards apart, and I stood back here and watched him tee off, and they were carrying a board, up there, and he was leading the tournament at that point, and I was like 3 shots behind him.
This is the 16th. It's 452 yard downwind par 4. He can get a big drive down the left side, sliding a bit to the right. He'll leave himself only this is a real. Looks as if he collapsed a bit on that, and that's gone left. 100 yards left in the trees.
I watched him hit his tee ball, and he had a big hook tee ball into the woods, wound up making double bogey on the hole. And I played on a round, came on a round, and when I got to the Tom Watson and I were playing together, and I was standing on the 17th tee, and they had a little rain delay. Ben Crenshaw was leading at that time, and he was playing right in front of it, and he hit it into the water, and Tom looks at me and says, "Well, my friend, now you got the lead." And I thought, was that to, I didn't say anything. I just kind of smiled and just went like this, and he said that, and I thought, was that to kind of make me think?
Trying to get in your head a little bit.
Get in my head and everything, and I would. And so I just kind of shook my head like this, and so I'm 1 shot ahead. So it was a long par 3 down the hill that time. I hit a 2-iron. So I get up here and I hit a 2-iron about this far from the flag. It's just stiffed it.
On 17.
On 17. That was on Sunday. That was to make that putt to take a 2-shot lead. And the green was very sloping like that
Sure.
hole. And I played it just outside the hole, and I putted it. I mean, I read that thing. I putted it just outside that hole, and it went by there, and it didn't move a fraction. Not one. And I didn't say anything. I looked at my caddy, and I said, "How can that ball not break?" And he said, "Impossible. It's got to break," you know. and so it didn't break. So I got a one-shot lead now going to the last hole. I drove it in the fairway there on the last hole, and the pin was in the right back corner with a sand trap on the right side there, and the green kind of flattens over and then it kind of slopes it down away from you. And it was a pin, the flag was maybe 15 feet from the edge of the green, something like that. So I was leery of it. I wanted to put it out in the center of the fairway, center of the green, but I didn't want to get it back too far away because it would be a tough putt. So, but if I tried to get it close to the hole, I was hitting a 4-iron, tried to get it close to the hole, you're a little bit hard, you're going into the deep grass right on over the green, you know.
All right, Lou. Sweet Lou. Put a good swing on this, Jim.
What do you think he has there?
He's probably got a 4 or it's a 4 or a 5-iron. We
Bill
just got a
Fleming says
report
it's 5. Oh my goodness, he's gone in the bunker.
Well,
He
right
has gone
around.
in the bunker. Stand by, it is not over. As happened so many times in the United States Open, the simple pressure of the final hole.
And I hung the thing out into the trap. And I went in the trap, and now I'm facing the shot now. If I blast out and land on that downslope, it's going into that back grass. I'm probably going to make, you know,
Bring 6 in.
yeah, make a double bogey, and I thought so.
But this certainly is the most important trap shot of this young man's career up to now, Jim. Just put it up on the green. Don't do anything funny. He's
Wasted no time, and he's left it way short.
Oh, well, you know, he hit this only soft spot there. There's the first 2 cuts there, no one's hardly walked on today, and that's very soft. If he'd have carried that another foot, I know that the ball would have run down that hill. Now he's left himself a putt to win. It's
I played out a little bit in front, hoping I could, you know, I just didn't want to take a chance going all the way down. And I left it up here and left myself maybe, I remember about 12 feet or something like that.
Now, Lou Graham must make this to win the U.S. Open Championship today.
Now this putt, if he gets it too far outside the right, by too far, I mean if he plays it outside of the right edge of the hole, will not break in enough. He's got to keep the ball just inside the right edge of the hole, Jim. And it's going to break to his left.
From the start, it was too slow.
What it was, I missed it. So I fall back into a tie with John Mahaffey. You know, and John Mahaffey was already in the clubhouse and everything. So John Mahaffey, and John went out, and John didn't play very good, and
18-hole playoff on Monday.
18-hole playoff, yeah.
Well, the jewel still hangs in the balance a day after the tournament should have ended. In a 2-man playoff, 37-year-old Lou Graham of Tennessee is the leader at this moment, seeking his first major victory in 11 years on the Pro Tour.
Plenty of people still watching.
Yeah, we had a good crowd and everything came out to watch, and my dad came up with two of my brothers, and they came up from Nashville, and I had 3, 4, 5 other good friends of mine from Nashville flew up in the morning. We teed off at 1 o'clock on Monday afternoon.
Lou Graham was playing very, very steady.
Hitting a pitching wedge for his second shot. Short, gets a good kick, comes just to the edge of the green.
It was a real sharp dogleg short hole, and it came up just short of the green a little bit, and then maybe a foot short and putted it up. Wasn't but about 20 feet, made par.
He burned the edge too, but it wouldn't go. He's got a couple of inches to tap in, so both men make par here at 11 and proceed on their way with Lou Graham holding a 3-shot edge over John Mahaffey.
The next hole was kind of a similar hole. It's a hard hole. They still play it. It goes up like this, and then it goes over a hill and down a gully, and then the green sits up about 30 feet in the air.
This gallery has picked up tremendously. And that ball is in the woods, and it may be in behind a tree. He hit it way left. He did not get it through, and that could cost him a very precious stroke, or perhaps 2 strokes here.
And I drove into the left rough and had a bad lie again, and I had to lay up short, and I pitched it up on the green there.
All right, Lou Graham is up on the green, and before this round got underway, They had a chance to talk to Lou about what it means to him personally to win this Open Championship. Here's his answer.
What would winning the U.S. Open mean to you, Lou?
Well, it put a big smile on my face for one thing. It would be hard to say. It's a dream of a lifetime. All kids, when they're starting out playing golf, are just like me, I'm sure. They thought about winning the U.S. Open. How many times you stood on a putting green as a practice putting green as a kid and say, this putt is for the U.S. Open. I'm going to knock it in here. And you miss it or you make it and you say, I won it or I lost it. And that's the way the game will be played today. You either win it or you lose it out there today. But if I should win, it will be the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And if I lose, it's still the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
This putt is just at the left edge. It should fall a little bit to his right.
Good putt. Ooh, that's the kind that wins U.S. Opens, isn't it? Oh.
Or anything else.
That's about as much of a display of emotion as I've seen from Lou Graham on a golf course, too. He's usually a very calm guy, but you saw that clenched fist that time.
And made about a 15-footer to save par again.
Mm-hmm.
And
That was big.
And yeah, and he and John made a par. Then we go, and right that time we were both kind of going here and there. I plugged one in the bunker on a par 3. Had a terrible lie, big old thing. The way it jumped, hit in there, and it just splattered a big hole about that deep. But it got on the side like that, so you couldn't really get. It was halfway down this thing. It was sitting there where you couldn't. It was almost impossible, and I hit at it really, really hard, and I can't still. Only had maybe a 25-foot shot, but I hit it hard because you couldn't get any sand to hit into the ball to push the thing out, you know. And they got it out on the green about 10 feet short, and to make a bogey. And then the next hole was kind of a routine par 5, and did that. And then in 16. I had a good drive on 16, hit a 4-iron, a 5-iron on the green.
At 170 yards, 160 yards to the flag. Well, if that's the right length, it's perfect. Magnificent stroke. Cool, calm and collected, dead on line. Only 8 or 9 paces from the flag.
John kind of struggled down the left side in the rough, and he made another bogey there in that part. I had a 3-shot lead when I go to 17, and I stood there and I said, well, that's the one across the par 3 across the water, and looking, I said, well, Louis, you don't want any part of that front bunker. If you plug in there in the face of that bunker, the bunker's 5 feet deep, and you don't want any part of the water. I said, you're better off to hit plenty of club, and there's an opening between the sand traps on it, and this was the best shot I hit of the whole tournament, I think, over there. And there's about a 5-foot opening. If you play into this direction here, you're going to either be into that area there where you can chip back, good shape, you hit the green, whatever, because I ain't want to fool. And John put his on the edge fringe of the green, but after I had already hit it, but I hit an iron shot down there, 2-iron, and I put it right in about this far over the green in the short rough there, and I chipped it down, and John made a par on the hole. I chipped the thing down, and the day before when I had missed a one like this for a birdie on that side of the hole, today I'm on the other side of the hole, only about 5 feet away from where that other cup was. And I said, well, now I know this thing is not going to break. And so I said, okay, looked at it like I said, boy, sure looks like, but Louis, you had almost the same putt yesterday, it's not going to break. So I played it up above it, and the sucker broke 8 inches. I went, how can that? I stood there and I tapped it in for a bogey. Now I got a 2-shot lead going to the last hole.
So it's a bogey 4 for Lou Graham, a par for John Mahaffey. The difference is 2 shots with 1 hole left to play. All right, here we are taking a look at the 18th hole at Medina. This is where it's going to end very shortly.
It's a good hole, Jim. Par 4, dogleg to the right. And as John Marshall, the pro here at Medina, said, the guys just don't realize how big a dogleg that is. They'll try to cut it around that corner, but generally when they've used woods, they've knocked it right through the fairway into the left rough. And
the dog pole comes up the hill, and then it's a straight turn like this. You got to hit hit a fade to get in the right position. I had hit this fairway every day.
And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Uh-oh.
Well, I think he probably kept it a little left from the way he's looking there, and it's up into the left rough somewhere.
Look out.
And I hit a driver, and I pulled it a little bit, and I hit it hard, but went right on through the fairway down there, and John was out in the other far side of the fairway over there.
Were you nervous?
No, I wasn't. I had a 2-shot lead, and I remember, you know, that I had played in enough tournaments that played that I wasn't nervous, and I felt very confident, you know. And so I got down there, and there's a big old tree kind of in the way, and I thought, well, and it was John's shot first to get to the green. He put it on the green, and he had about like maybe a 35-footer. And I said, you know, what's the odds he's going to make that? You know, not very good. So I said, I'm not going over this green. I'm going to put it right down there. Just I hooked a little low 4-iron down there about 10 yards short of the green, I guess, and I pitched it on there past the flag about 8 feet.
Was that when Rossi was calling it dead?
This is when I'm walking up the fairway. Just walking up fairway, no shot. Yeah, Rosberg is standing out in the middle of the fairway, looking down towards the green there, whatever, and I walk maybe 10 yards behind him or less, whatever. I'm going over here to the thing, and he said, well, he's got no shot whatsoever. The tree's got him. He's got no shot.
It is only about 8 feet from out of bounds. He has no shot at all except to pitch it out.
You know, and I looked at him and I thought, I could see over there, and it was bare because the people had been walking over there for 5 days in a row, you know.
And you could see your ball.
I could see the ball laying right over there, and it wasn't, it was a big old tree this big around that was about 10 feet ahead of me. So I had nothing wrong with my swing, and I thought, how can you call this not a shot, you know?
I would think he'd just be pitching it out, Dave, with perhaps a 7 or 8 iron. He's got to keep it under the tree, but take enough loss. He hit it pretty hard. I tell you what, he played a very brave shot.
Boy, he played a very good shot. Look at this. It's almost coming to the green, Bob.
That's unbelievable. I tell you, I cannot believe that he even tried that shot.
Well, I tell you, that was some shot. I look for him just to chip it out like you did, and it's up here right by the green.
So I walked out in the fairway, and I looked at Rossi, and I said, Rossi, how did you call that a no shot? He just looked at me and didn't say a word, didn't say anything. So I kind of laughed a little bit, walked on down. So I pitched it on with about an 8-foot by on it, or 8 or 9 foot by. And so the key thing now was what was John Mahaffey going to do on his 35-footer?
Fairly straight, Jim. It shouldn't break too much.
It's strong enough this time. Just a little too strong.
And he missed the thing. So all I had to do now was two-putt.
Just a little match play psychology, maybe. That's the way to win the U.S. Open.
That's right.
With the par 4 after a disastrous tee shot on the final hole, Lou Graham is the United States Open golf champion.
And then I made the 8-footer, made the putt, you know, whatever.
1 by 2.
1 by 2, yeah.
How'd that change your life, winning the Open?
Well, it changed a lot. I mean, after that, a lot of things opened up. I was invited to different things, got different contracts, signed a clothing contract in about a month later, contract with Japan, got a Lou Graham clothing line that came out with over there.
Look at him, and Jim, he is really one of the nice guys on the tour. You never hear Lou complain about the bad breaks or anything, and here he's won the greatest prize of his life. I'm sure the greatest day of his professional life.
But I told a lot of times, I said, winning the U.S. Open was not a thing for me. Winning that tournament, it was nothing. It was just kind of a routine change. I said that I had been to the thing so many times that, you know, that I didn't know what I was doing, you know, and just out there just playing golf and having a good time, you know, and winning the U.S. Open was nothing for me. I said, I won the U.S. Open probably at least 60, 70 times. Mm-hmm. And everybody said, what? I said, hey, when I was a kid, my 3 brothers and I, we would go over to the public course in the afternoon before it get dark, and I said,
This is a putt for the U.S. Open.
We'd walk out on the putting green, and I had everybody. We all carried 3 golf balls apiece, and we'd walk out on the putting green. I'd throw down 3 balls down, and every time I'd say the first thing, "Okay, this ball right here is to win the United States Open." And I said, "Man, I won that thing a bunch of times. Anybody can win the U.S. Open." And they loved every bit of it, you know.